You're listening to the Fanboy Garage Podcast.
And welcome to the Fanboy Garage. I'm Chris Lasanti, joined by my matching co-hosts, Vanana.
Hi, everyone. We're all wearing the same colored T-shirt. It's great.
It's all good.
And Aaron Varola.
Yo, what's up, folks? Welcome to episode 139 of the Fanboy Garage. As always, it's another week. We're happy to have you guys. Lots to talk about. Kong versus Godzilla continues to crush at the box office. Chris Terrio has some things to get off his chest related to Zack Snyder's Justice League. Mayans, we are watching that, and that show is amazing. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so much to talk about, but let's dive into the box office.
Sure. So once again, and it's amazing, like that we're kind of back into this, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, hey, let's start
Like it
talking
never
about
happened.
the box office. I didn't think we would ever be doing that again. But Godzilla versus Kong continued. It only had like a 58% drop in its second week, which when you consider the fact that it's available like at home. So like if you were one of those, you figure most of the people would have rushed out to have seen it like opening weekend that wanted to get to theaters.
Sure.
It did another like almost now like 13.5 million here domestic, but right now the movie's sitting at $357 million worldwide, right? It's like 60 million here and 288 overseas. And what's amazing about that is that's after, so 2 weeks domestic and then 3 weeks international, because they opened a week earlier. But Godzilla King of the Monsters for its entire run did $386.6 million.
Wow.
So this thing is going to eclipse that by its third week
Wow.
in
That's
theaters,
nuts.
which is hard to believe.
And it's
In a
it's
pandemic.
like- in a pandemic
and in a hybrid model. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, the international number, right? The 288.3 million that it's done internationally already eclipses the 276 million that King of Monsters did in its entire run international.
Question.
Yeah.
The international markets, they don't have access to HBO Max, right? So that's
right.
Yeah,
they are doing certain things. Like I know they said
like
Canada,
you can pay for it.
Yeah, like Canada has a premium video on demand option because their theaters there's only like 20% of their theaters open.
Right.
And I think it did big business. It did like 3 million or something in its opening week.
Wow.
Video on demand streaming. It looks like the streaming numbers on HBO again, Max, we don't know. There's nothing official. They don't release it, but based on trends and things like that, they're saying it did really good. It did well there too. Which is tie into that conversation we had last week about how fascinating it is that like a lot of people are accessing this film in all the different ways that you can access it, which tells me that there's room for this. And it's interesting. I was reading that article about Netflix and how they paid a lot of money for the rights to the Sony films, like after their theatrical runs are over, to be the exclusive shop. So they've eliminated, like, I think Stars used to have the agreement. And so any competition, whether it be HBO or Stars or Showtime or whatever, whoever would have the rights, they've cornered that market for Sony. But for me, the big thing, that wasn't the big thing for me in that story. The big thing was deep into that story where it talked about how like Paramount Plus has struck a deal where they're going to start to air the Paramount films are going to air like 45 days after their theatrical exclusively on Paramount Plus. Like that's big stuff because that's all the stuff that like speeds up that theatrical window and gets things into your homes faster using your direct to consumer streaming service, right? To do it. So I mean
that's super smart. That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy to me. So basically it's like a month and a half later. The box office would likely be trailing because you're not going to have, Paramount's not crushing it with like Star Wars type.
Well, they mentioned the new Mission Impossible.
Yeah, but they're not, those
Top Gun sequel and all that stuff. The movies just got all pushed back again.
So will they do it with international, like will they start it during international releases or is it domestic and then they drop it on
probably domestic. I don't know if Paramount Plus is
It's
available
gonna be an international.
overseas.
No, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying
In
is when
fact,
they
I know
start
for a
when
fact
they start the
it
timer,
isn't.
that 45-day
Yeah.
timer.
I don't know because I know it isn't overseas because I know that Star Trek Discovery is on, I think, Netflix in
Mhm.
like overseas because there's no what used to be CBS
Right.
All Access. It's now Paramount Plus. I would assume the domestic theatrical run is what that would apply to.
Right. Paramount Plus. That's such an original name.
Well, Discovery has Discovery Plus now. Everybody's
It's
going.
like, really? Was there a Paramount channel before?
There's
Yeah.
Paramount
There
Network.
was?
Now. So Spike
Paramount
TV's
Network,
been
yeah.
rebranded for a while now as the Paramount.
Clearly, never seen it.
Yeah.
But a lot of like shows have gone to Paramount Plus. So like
Yeah.
I don't know, like all like the Oprah, right? Like Super Soul Sundays on there.
Yeah, they struck some deals.
HGTV stuff, everything with like Chip and Joanna Gaines.
Everything that's on the Viacom
Mhm.
umbrella. So CBS,
MTV.
and actually I misspoke. This is even bigger. So my apologies.
Oh,
It's
shit.
17 days.
Oh, damn! Really, it's that close.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. It
Wow.
is 45 days. It's again, I'm looking through this now because you had me thinking about what the other movies were that were
Okay,
coming
we
out.
can't trust Chris anymore.
A Quiet Place 2 was the other movie that they quoted, along with
Right.
7. 45 days. It's the Universal deal. That was the next thing I wanted to talk about because that Universal deal is 17 days after the theatrical release. The movies can hit premium video on demand.
Mhm.
So like pretty soon.
Not on Peacock.
Well, no, not yet, right? But pretty soon you're going to be talking about. We don't know what Warner Media is going to continue to do, right, with their theatrical releases. Whether they're going to continue this hybrid model that seems to be working, even though we don't know, what Disney's going to do, right? Disney Plus with their stuff, but we know Universal within 17 days you're going to be able to watch their movies at home some way, right? We know now with Paramount
another
in
purchase.
45 days you're going to be able to and I think you're going to start to see those windows shrink regardless of whether these content providers go with their hybrid models or not. I do think we will at the very least start to see the theatrical window shrink because the theaters really don't have leverage there.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, the thing is people are gonna who want the experience are gonna go to the theater.
Yeah.
And then people who are like, okay, they're still going to pay. They're going to pay, but they're going to pay a premium. And if it's directly to the studio, sure, that makes sense. But if you're doing the video on demand, like that's getting split 100, well, not 100. It's getting split a couple of different ways. Like Apple,
Yeah.
Voodoo, all of those licensing things. So, but they're still making money.
And I think also like, in the beginning of this, we just weren't sure where things were going to go, with like theaters closing down. Like we were even thinking like, oh, is that like the end of like theaters? Are they just going to go like bankrupt and that's it? Like we're just left with streaming. But now we're seeing that, oh, there is like a hybrid model that's like approaching, because people are going to want to still go to movies and people are going to want to watch it at home. And then it's kind of like win-win for the studios because they're just getting a bigger audience, right? They're getting bigger viewership for their films. But the industry that's really suffering and has already been suffering, to begin with, are like DVD sales. Right? Like that's going to be completely wiped out.
Yeah, that's going to be obsolete.
Like that's going to be obsolete, just like how we stopped using cassette tapes, because of DVDs. And I was just talking to a friend, when you're part of SAG-AFTRA, you get all of the shows that are being nominated for the SAG Awards so that you could vote on them. I have a bunch of DVDs here sitting on my desk, like on my shelf, of all the nominated shows and films, which half of them, like I already have watched, on Netflix or like Amazon Prime. But like, for example, like Minari, I haven't seen, and The Father, I haven't seen. And I was just telling my friend, like, I don't have a DVD player.
Oh, wow.
And my my computer, like doesn't have the DVD
The
drive
disk drive,
anymore, like the disc drive. So that's just like that's
that's
what.
that's a very real thing. I
And
probably wouldn't have one if I didn't have a PlayStation.
yeah, and I think SAG-AFTRA should kind of think about what they're going to do next year, because more and more likely, like, people are not going to have access to like play their DVDs. I'm going to take some DVDs with me to Texas because we have a PlayStation 4 there, and that's how we play our like DVDs. It's like through our PlayStation. It's not even like a DVD player.
Yeah.
So that's the industry that's like, that's it.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Otherwise, you better start running yourself a little side business, start selling some of that stuff.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. The reason why I have a Blu-ray player is because I'm really a geek, and I needed to have, so at the time, I'm a big Doctor Who fan, right? So I used to, there were a lot of, and even Star Trek, there were some Blu-rays that were available overseas, right? And/or DVDs that were available overseas that were not available here. So either the DVD wasn't available here, or like the Blu-ray version wasn't available here, but I could get them overseas. And so I needed a region-free Blu-ray player. So that's why I have one. But now, after getting it, within a couple of years, now like all of the classic Doctor Who stuff is available on BritBox. It's available on Pluto TV. There's a dedicated channel just to it. So it's like you don't even need that anymore. Obviously, the Star Trek Blu-rays and stuff, like the remastered DVDs, all that stuff is available for streaming. So it's like I barely use my DVD player, my Blu-ray player, unless it's something that I absolutely want to watch, and just for some reason it is just not available to stream, and I'm not either going to rent it or pay for it or whatever. But like I've gone like my digital collection. That's usually what I go to, because not only did I used to redeem the digital codes, you know, when I purchase a Blu-ray or DVD, but also Vudu had a service for a while, and they probably still do, where like you could actually convert your DVD, like you put in like the barcode, and for like $2 they'd give you like the digital equivalent of it. So like I was doing that for a while too, just to make life easier for myself. So like, yeah, I pretty much am like almost exclusively streaming now.
Yeah,
that's all I do. I can't even tell you the last Blu-ray I've played or bought. To be honest with you, I haven't bought a Blu-ray in quite a while.
No, I have 2 laptops and a desktop, and I can't play any of those free DVDs that I got.
Yeah,
man, it's just the way that it is. You know, I haven't. Same thing with music. Haven't bought an album. It's all on Spotify.
Right.
So, hey.
Yeah, even for a while I was hanging in there trying to like buy certain Blu-rays and just like as a collector, right? Just to have, but I even gave up on that like for a while, because it's like, you know what, I don't have the room. I don't really watch them. So what's the point of having it to sit on a shelf that's not there anymore? Anyway, right. To take up space that I don't have. So I've even gotten off of that. And,
yeah.
you know, I know that there.
Did I buy that horrible movie called The Rise of Skywalker?
That I did, because I was still in my buy it as a collector phase. But the pandemic, I think, pretty much put an end to that for me.
Yeah.
You know, just so. But yeah, I mean, I think eventually physical media in general is just not going to be a thing. Like I mean, look at what PlayStation and Microsoft did with their Sony PlayStation and Microsoft Xbox did with their gaming systems. Yeah.
They're I mean, they're offering 2 versions, but you know, one version is completely digital.
And now even with streaming being 4K, even though I know they say, oh, it's not pure
true 4K.
It's not like okay, that's fine. But unless you're like a super video file who has like an insane set, you're not going to know the difference. And so you don't even. But why pay money for a 4K Blu-ray player if you can just stream that too now? Because that was the one thing keeping the medium alive, right? Was 4K. So it's like, okay, well, but now, I mean, now we're getting 8K TV. You know, so you're never gonna be able to keep up with this stuff. So it's like, what's
that's a little too much.
That's not gonna happen.
Well, it's a thing. It's
I mean, it's a thing. It's been a thing for a little while, but it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's taking forever to get 4K, true 4K up and off the ground.
Sure. Yeah.
So imagine, all the data that's gonna be required for that. That's nuts.
it's also unnecessary for the. I mean, the fact is that based on how far most people sit from their screens at home and the
Yep.
size of the screens that we have, then
There's a
human
threshold
eye
that your eye
cannot
can actually interpret.
identify. Yeah, and that's why they used to say like even the difference between 720p when that was a thing and 780 and 1080p, right? When you used to have the two different standards,
Yeah.
they said that like the human if a TV was certain size and you were a certain amount of distance away from it, like you couldn't identify the difference between, unless
Yeah.
there was like, certain types of things. So yeah, it's the same concept. I mean, I don't think most people even realize, and your eyes adjust too eventually.
Yeah.
Because I remember
Yeah.
the first time I saw HD TV, like 1080p HD. I was at my friend's house and he had like, the first like projection HD TV
Yep.
before plasmas and LCDs and all that came out. And like he had like a football game on it. Like you could see like the beads of sweat like on the guy's head. And I was like, holy crap, like what, are you serious? Now we watch it and it's just like it doesn't even phase us, right? Like it's just you expect it and you're used to it.
Yeah, it actually it's funny. Before we jumped on, I was catching up with This Is Us. And they use makeup to de-age some of the characters, and I was like, man, they caked it on. Because I was sitting actually a little closer to my TV than normal before, and I was like, I could see the cake on their cheeks and like the eyeshadow on the makeup, and I was like, damn, ooh, yeah, that's normally I don't catch that, but I guess because I was like sitting right in that sweet spot.
Yeah,
that's like the downside.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh,
it's
makeup
like
person.
sometimes you don't want to see everything.
Yeah, you're not getting an Emmy for that.
That's messed up.
Oh man,
That's funny. What else we got?
all right, let's move on.
all right, so I guess the well, I don't know, do you want to get into this the Chris Terrio stuff, or do you want to do Falcon and Winter Soldier first?
Let's save Terrio for later if we have time.
So Falcon and Winter Soldier, another episode. This one I liked this one more than last week's. I have to say that Zemo might be my favorite character on television right now.
Yo, Zemo right now is becoming one of my favorite Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And he's an awesome villain.
Yeah, he's just an awesome. Like I want his show. Like he needs
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's great. That episode was so meaty.
Yeah.
So good. The opening scene in Wakanda where Bucky's struggling with the words and kind of being drawn back into being the Winter Soldier. Like you could feel his pain, and then he's just like smiling because she said he's free, and he like realizes that he's done.
Yeah.
That was a beautifully executed scene, well acted scene. But then it lays the foundation for like the betrayal that Wakanda feels to him,
right?
Breaking Zemo out, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna give you a little bit, and
right.
There's so much.
That Dora Milaje fight, and then she like disarms his arm.
Yo.
Like, oh my God.
She was tapping his shoulder. I was like, is she? No.
Yeah, and then his arm
falls on the floor. And then he's like, did you know they could do that?
He's like, no.
Yeah.
That was great.
That fight was like, I have to say, I am so impressed with the fight choreography in this show. I mean, I didn't really expect anything less, but to also see like the Dora Milaje like show up and like kick major ass and all like the spear stuff with the shield and incorporating that with the choreography, like that was really cool. And then of course, like Zemo is just like, all right, guys, like peace out. And like, we don't know where he went.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is he's pulled that like in every episode that he's been in, where he just kind of like, oh shit, there's something going on, I'm gonna go over here, and then he ends up coming back and winning their trust, and now he finally uses this to escape because he knows you can't get past the Dora Milaje, like you're done,
right?
Like
exactly.
they're taking you, like it's it. So he had to run. The falling down of John Walker, I thought was well executed.
Oof.
I think they've been doing a great job at kind of setting up his flaws, and it goes back to what what's his name, Erskine Erskine said about Captain America is about, you being a good man is what, the serum is going to enhance that. And if you're a cocky son of a bitch in general, or you're unsure of yourself, you have insecurities, because that's what you get in that first episode when you meet him. He's insecure. And he wants to show strength, and like he takes power by force. And that whole just his little ticks of like, I'm not in control of the situation. I need to, that's it. I'm Captain America. Like, I'm taking over. That's deep.
He feels inadequate. And I think like what the episode also did really well was not just show him as like this surfacey character that's just like rude or, just like has like an ego trip, but they really show him experiencing what changes his mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like seeing like what happened to his partner and he couldn't do anything about it. So like, there you go, like emasculation, right? And how am I going to get revenge over these other people that have these powers that I don't have? And I'm supposed to be Captain America, but I'm seeing people more powerful and better than me. So how do I live up to that too? Right. And he just feels like he probably, like his ego is probably just feels so small. And then they have that conversation in the cafe where they are talking about like, it's about the person who takes the serum.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the difference between Carly and, Captain
Rogers.
And Steve Rogers. Right. And I think after that, he decides to take it.
Yeah. Well, he gets his ass kicked by the Dora Milaje, which is like,
right.
I call that shit. I knew it was going to, I was like, he's going to get his ass kicked and he's going to have to take that serum. But it was like his face. He's like, they weren't even super soldiers. Yeah, man, they whooped your ass.
Right.
That chick used your shield against you with the spear, had him locked in on the table, and then he couldn't move it, and she comes over, one hand pops the spear out.
Right.
He's like, they're not even super soldiers.
Yeah, because in his reality, he's just a little bit
he's
naive.
Nobody now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Without the shield, you're nobody again.
And then the ending.
Yo.
Oof.
Yeah. That ending scene. Oh man, he literally he taints the shield, the symbol of the shield, and the symbol itself, destroys it. By basically, like, I thought he was gonna decapitate the dude.
That's what I thought too.
I was like, are they gonna do this? I thought he was gonna throw it and like that, throw the shield and take his head off.
I thought that too. I also really enjoy the dialogue between all the characters about like what like supremacy is and how like
that comes out of Zemo's mouth,
right? And how Zemo says like the desire to be a superhuman cannot be separated from supremacist ideals.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh shoot, like that kind of makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
But then like Sam also has like his rebuttal to it, and you're like, well, yeah, like I get it's like it's not black and white.
No.
And the dialogue is just beautiful.
Yeah. Well executed.
So good. Well, we have like 2 episodes left, so we're gonna find out who the power broker is. Hopefully,
maybe we won't.
I think we will.
It's
I think
Mephisto.
We'll get a. I think we'll get a glimpse, right?
Okay, so who do you think it is?
Well, they're saying it's a big character.
Is it?
But
I don't even listen to this.
I'm not sure. So
Paul Bettany on
okay,
us.
so the end of the episode. So the end. I know we've been like scarred. So the end of the episode, Carly, and her teammates also get a message saying the power broker wants to see you or something like that, right?
No, he's like, I want my serum.
Right.
I will end you.
Or I will like kill you guys. And we know that the serum has been destroyed by Zemo. So she's probably going to end up meeting him within these next 2 episodes. Have to.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know that I imagine so. I would hope so. There's some folks speculating that it's Sharon Carter. Because she's got all this power, she has access to satellites, like she's, no joke. She walks around and there's armed guards everywhere. And what when she gets in the car from the, I don't know if it was the previous episode where she goes, "Oh, we've got a bigger problem. We have bigger
Right.
problems." Like people are, "Oh,
Yeah.
power broker." Maybe
That would be a good
that,
guess,
that would be
because
so on the nose though to me in a way, because it's. But then
no, but it also keeps it in like the storyline instead of like fucking Mephisto showing up, like
you just F-bomb. What?
I did. I'm so
That's
sorry.
good.
Oh my God. You
It's
guys
all
never
right.
hear me F-bomb. But
Earmuffs,
like,
folks.
but you know what I mean? Like, instead of someone totally random showing up just for, shits and giggles, right? To like to pull something, that would kind of make sense.
Yep.
She's been helping them because she wants to find the serum, and that's what they were looking for. So it's kind of like, okay, our mission aligns. It would make sense. I'm not saying it's her, but it would make sense.
And it ties into that whole concept of like with what we did with WandaVision, right? Where it's like, well, they're not going to probably bring in some outside character after all this time, right? That we've invested in. So chances are well, I mean, they didn't.
They could, but they could though.
It was Sharon Carter all
Yeah, but the
along.
problem is, where is it going? See, that's the thing. Like, I don't see this show connecting really into anything that's coming up. At least not directly, right? So
No.
they do introduce the power broker, and it's somebody like, then like, where does that go from there? Does it tie into Shang-Chi? Does it tie in?
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm trying to think of.
No, I mean, I think like I explained before on our little thread, text thread, they're just planting seeds.
Yeah.
Like all of this is, and it's literally what I said last episode. It's like they're just throwing them up in the air, and they're like, watch them, watch. It could go so many different ways. Like Zemo's now out there. Wakanda's hunting for Zemo, so there goes your Wakanda series. If that leads up to anything, right? Who knows?
It really makes sense if it was her, though, because when they arrived at the bar, she knows that they're there, so she was the one that helped them get out of that situation, right? And she's been integral in every single part of finding the serum, which is what the power broker wants.
Yeah, it would also give her a next step, right? Something else for her to do going forward.
Right. And we also know, that her career and her life has been turned upside down because of what she sacrificed. And I don't even think she wants Sam to go through on his deal to get her, back to the United States and like get her record cleared. I think she's just saying that to him because it would make sense for her to say that.
There ends to a means,
right?
But she's using them to help her get what she wants,
right? But I think like she's in this world, she's in Madripoor. If she's the power broker, she ain't gonna leave that position. It's her new life.
Here's the thing, though. If it were her, they don't call Sharon until after the serum is destroyed. You see what I'm saying? So Sam goes and he goes to the funeral, and then they have that whole fallout because that's when Zemo escapes and he destroys the stuff. Do you think he would have told her then and there? The serum's been destroyed. Like, does that not even matter to him? Is that not even what he cares about? Because if she had a vested interest, do you think she would have asked him, do you know if she has any more serum? Because then she would be out of the know. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you picking up what I'm throwing down here?
Yeah, I don't think he told her.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, if she is the power broker, then she would have been asking for that information about the serum, if that's important to her.
Mm-hmm.
And if she were the power broker, then why would she lead Sam, Zemo, and what's his name, and Bucky to the doctor that was making the serum?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through here, like some of the theories. I mean, Sharon Carter is obviously a top one.
Armin Zola, that's where I think it's going.
Thaddeus Ross is another one.
I think that's another one. That's that. Right. See, that to me,
and it does make sense.
Thaddeus Ross
serum stuff, right? Because
he's been manufacturing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had access to it.
Yeah, and we saw him pop up in Endgame, right? At Tony
He-
Stark's.
He
funeral.
he also is in the military and would have had access to the samples of Isaiah's blood
Mm-hmm.
to recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yo,
there's a lot of
Thaddeus Ross
theories.
popping up in the, if he pops up in the end, yo, done.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the theories are people related to the Incredible Hulk, and most of it
Yeah.
is because of their ties to
The leader.
The leader. I've even seen Emil Blonsky brought up, and
Yeah,
Justin Hammer, who not tied to Incredible
that
Hulk.
would be funny as hell.
That would be
I-
Zola.
I-
So there's your
Actually, I
theory,
have a
right?
very soft spot for Justin Hammer.
Yeah.
I thought he was a great character.
Arnim Zola,
Mm.
other
There
option.
is my boy.
So those are like the people that people are speculating on most, and though there's logic behind a number of those, some make
E-
a little bit more sense than others, but
Either way, I feel like there's more to Sharon Carter
Yeah,
than
like she's
than-
working for the power broker.
Yeah, or something like that. Like or double. Like I feel like there's something more to her that we
But
haven't
she's always been a
seen.
double agent. She's
Yeah.
what if that's not even Sharon Carter? What if it's a scroll?
well, there's always that too, right?
Bingo.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Bingo. Watch it happen.
The general thought is, and I believe this, is that with 2 episodes left, regardless of where you think they may be going with this, right? A season 2 or whatever. The thought is they don't think you would introduce like a brand new character.
No.
Yeah, no.
And
So it has to be somebody that we're familiar with.
And yo, we're talking about, just to kind of link back to something you said before about it, these shows not linking to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily true, because WandaVision, while for us we're focused on Wanda's story, it does link to something bigger, which is the Skrulls.
Well, it links to Doctor Strange too, but we get that.
100%. But
Yeah.
but all of the movies in Phase 4, if they're
Mhm.
leads to the Skrulls, because Spider-Man Far From Home, Skrulls.
Right.
The WandaVision Skrulls.
Right.
If Skrulls don't pop up in this, I would be surprised,
Right.
That's
because I think
interesting.
that is going to that is the thread that is connecting to the bigger picture.
Yeah, I mean it's and we know Secret Invasion is going to be a Disney Plus show.
Right.
So obviously that would clearly be the Skrulls. So that's got to factor in somehow. We got to develop whatever that storyline is going to be, right?
Right. If it has anything to do with Skrulls. I mean, they did Civil War, and that wasn't even really Civil War.
No, but if you already have the Skrulls, I mean, why wouldn't you? And you've gone out of your way to. I mean, I know they could tie into Captain Marvel too. Also, I get it, but
Right.
I would assume that it's going to, because that would be weird. That would be weird to have the Skrulls in your universe and then you have a Secret Invasion show
And without the Skrulls, I mean, I think they have something to do, but I just think it's not going
That
to
would be a
what we think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have only 2 episodes left, which is like,
I'm
oh,
telling you, it's either Bucky Shrink is a Skrull or Sharon.
okay. Aaron's on.
Yeah.
I'm on Team Skrull. Let's do it.
Hashtag Team Skrull.
I'm gonna be like, it's gonna be like, keep on scrolling. That's gonna be the next T-shirt, y'all, right there.
Oh,
Keep
that's
on
a good
scrolling.
one.
How dope is that?
That's a good one.
Chris, work on it.
That's a good one.
Isn't that dope?
No, that's a good one.
That's dope, right?
That's great.
I like it.
All right, guys.
Until
new
it gets
t-shirt
taken
idea.
down by.
Until
know.
yeah,
I
by
did.
Marvel.
Oh, I like that. That's actually okay. Y'all heard it first here on the Fanboy Garage. Keep scrolling.
Seriously, copyrighted. Don't
For real.
steal it.
Legit, we're gonna steal it and copyright it and make it our own. Bango. Okay, let's go.
All right.
So I don't know. What did you want to do? I know you want to kind of push the Terrio stuff off. So did you want to go into Mayans a little bit, or
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about. Well, okay, we can talk about Mayans, Superman and Lois, which I've also been loving. I don't know if you guys.
I'm like 2 episodes back.
Oh, okay,
no.
all right.
Yeah, I'm 2.
You too, Chris.
I didn't get
no?
it.
I'm caught up.
You're caught up. All right, so maybe we'll talk about that like later, but we can talk about Mayans. I also watched Kung Fu.
But wait, like
earlier today.
is it like is it a spit? Is it like
No,
is it the same
like-
with the old show? No, new.
no. It's
New?
it's a CW show. Yeah, it's new.
Oh, right. I forgot all
Yeah, with like Asian American female lead.
Cool. Same premise though.
I don't know
Like
the original.
like monk, like a you know.
Shaolin. Yep.
Shaolin monk
She goes to China.
Can I just say how ironic this is?
He was in the Old West though, in the original.
But
yeah, she's in San Francisco.
this is it's so weird to me.
Why? Why is it so? What's weird?
So the history of that show, it's essentially like what Warrior was supposed to be.
Yep. Oh God, I read that pilot. It's so good.
And they stole it from Bruce Lee.
Okay, different Warrior. There was a different Warrior pilot for NBC that never got made.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They masqueraded it.
And Bruce Lee was supposed to be in it.
Oh.
Show for him, yeah.
Yeah, but then they cast David Carradine.
They decided, they needed an American playing a
and so then Warrior comes out, which is inspired on his writings.
Yeah.
Which is really good. I finished it. And then they're gonna reboot this hypocrisy with now they're like, oh, we're gonna make it right. We're gonna cast the right people for this. But it's like, but you stole it from somebody.
Kung Fu?
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, once the property's established,
I get it. I get that, but like,
yeah. But it's also very CW.
I guess it's gonna be love story, almost, love triangle.
Yeah, it's like you can't compare. It's not even like apples and oranges. It's like bananas and oranges. But you know, I tweeted earlier like, when I started acting 10 years ago and I started doing martial arts like 8 years ago, I would have killed to be on a show like this, you know, but a show like this didn't exist for someone like me. And even still now I struggle with someone seeing me as like either Asian or, you know, like everyone thinks I'm Latina. So they tend to like push me towards that direction, but then it's also like, no, like I'm not Latina and I don't speak Spanish, right? But seeing all those Asian Americans like on TV was just a different experience for me. Like since Crazy Rich Asians, I was just like, wait, there's a TV show and like everyone cast as Asian American. It was crazy. I almost cried. It was nuts. And I didn't think I would have that experience. Now, the way it's shot, it's a little bit CW, you know, it's a little bit like teenagery.
Yeah.
Right.
But the fight choreography isn't bad. So I really like that. It's like, okay. And the lead girl, she's really talented. She's really good. And her Chinese is good. Like her Sifu's Chinese, you could tell she doesn't speak Chinese. She's probably like born in America and like probably had to learn those lines or like had to learn how to speak it right. But her Chinese is really good. So I have to look her up, but you could tell she speaks Chinese. And to even just hear Chinese on like a CW show, like on mainstream, like I was just a little bit baffled. I was like, wow, I never thought like this day would come, but like it's right here in front of me. Pretty cool.
Did you not have that kind of reaction from watching Warrior?
You know what? Yes, but I didn't finish Warrior.
Yeah. It's
because I don't have stars. But now that it's on HBO Max, yeah, I have to finish it.
It's kind of shameful how it ends, actually.
But like my friend is on that show. I went to the pilot premiere, met Shannon Lee. Like that was incredible. But like since then and since Crazy Rich Asians, I haven't seen anything on screen with like Asian American actors that weren't just like that like cameo part or like that side part. Like it was like a whole cast. I was like, oh, I'm kind of like taken aback by this. It was like pretty cool. Yeah. Would I continue the show? I'm not sure. You know, like the storyline is like a little bit okay. I might watch it when I'm having a meal if I need something on TV, but I just wanted to check it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Makes me want to get back to training and I can't.
Soon.
I know.
Right.
I know.
So
anyway, so we can talk about Mayans if you want, since we all saw that.
yeah, I mean, and Mayans continues to move on. So now we're starting to get into that shift now, right?
Yo, that shit is dark.
Yeah, it's got.
We talked a little bit about it offline.
Yeah,
last
gotten
week.
real dark, and the showrunners said it was going to get dark, and it had.
Yo, I mean, it was literally like they just clipped the light switch off. Like, oh yeah, you guys want to see how dark it's gonna. No lights.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, damn, this shit is bad. What the hell's going on? People getting shot. People getting died. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy. Show's great.
The way that was filmed was really like.
Yo,
yeah.
I noticed that. And Elgin James.
Yeah.
Directed that episode.
Yeah.
And that last scene in the car was epic. It's epic filmmaking right there.
The perspective that he used. So,
over the shoulder
and without the sound, right? Because you didn't until they hit the car, like you realize like what's happening. That was pretty cool. Because it was from her perspective almost.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like, so it was like directly behind her.
Yeah.
It had an Extraction vibe to it. Like it really did. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. I still have some concerns about repeating some similar plot points in Sons of Anarchy, but this was the first episode so far this season where when it was over, I was like, okay, I can't wait for next week.
Yeah. Well, like Adelita leaving Angel. Like after her little Britney Spears moment. This was just my wife was like. She's like, is she going full on Britney? Oh, hell yeah, she is. And I
thought the same thing.
I was like, look, why do you guys all think about that? She's like, she's shaving her hair.
It's like, iconic.
Yeah. It was, oh man, Edward James almost, him having that conversation with Galindo.
Yeah.
Was deep, and just that interaction with no words being spoken, just that embrace. That was. And I get what you're saying, because Coco is definitely
juice. He's juice.
He's juice. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I feel more for Coco than I did for Juice. Like the moment Juice flipped, I was like, kill him.
And
then he didn't die for so many seasons, and I was like, damn.
Correct. And it also seemed unearned.
Yes.
For him, it was just like a plot point that they threw out there just to have.
That kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, this has at least there's a build to this, and there's an arc to this, and it makes sense, and it ties into things that happened in season 1. So like there's been a trajectory here for Coco and his character.
Yeah.
And we'll see where it ends up, but
I hope we see his daughter again too, because I really like that character and we've only seen her once.
Yeah.
Right? We've only seen her once, and she was a great character last season.
It would make sense for her to get involved again at some point, maybe.
Yeah, like take him out of it.
Yeah, like that's the last we've seen of her. And if he's going to be a focal point of this season, then it would make sense to kind of have her back.
He's such a good actor, man. Like every time he comes on screen, I just like, that's it.
Yeah.
And they said he lost like 60 pounds.
Yo, he looks so bad. And when he talks to you, he sounds like he's on the verge of like, what do you want from me, man? Like, like he's in constant pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, Boy Scout, why don't you stop talking and drive already? I'm good, right? I'm good. Cast me. I got the whole Vato look going.
There's a lot of good. That's the one thing I know is that the acting for the most part overall is pretty solid.
Awesome.
Like
pretty good.
Yeah, there like on Sons, there were moments of great acting.
Yeah.
Obviously, anything Jimmy Smits did as usual is brilliant. And Katie Seagal had some brilliant moments.
I love Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman can commit no crime in my mind.
Oh, he's so good.
And anything involving like the Tig Venus Van Dam thing was all just magic and amazing. Yeah. But like like overall, I feel like this ensemble just there's a lot of strength here. There's a lot of
good stuff.
really good acting. Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny. We were watching this episode, and they were talking about Jax. Oh, it's gonna break the rules that Jax
Mhm.
set. And Jess turns to me and she goes, "Why did Jax have to die?" And I go, I've seen the entire run twice, and I can't tell you. I don't remember. I don't remember at all why he had to die, other than to say that he couldn't live. He couldn't.
No, he had to die because he killed
his mom.
No, it wasn't
See?
that. He killed his mom on his way like as part of his final act
Right,
and
right,
all that
right.
stuff. No, he killed I'm drawing a blank, but did he kill
See?
another, like a son, like a leader of one of the other?
Oh, maybe.
Wait,
Yeah.
I just watched this, guys. I watched it sooner than you guys.
And here's another question. What happened to his son? The one that had his heart born outside of his chest? Bingo.
Oh yeah.
Nobody
yeah.
knows, because they
We
just
never
broke that little
got-
boy right off that chain.
Right.
Gone.
Right.
Go ahead, Chris. Tell me Wikipedia what happened. Who did he kill?
Wait, who? Wait. Oh, that's what I'm looking up now. I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I can't remember it. Other than I just remember him doing the ride of glory, like down that
Yes.
same ride that he.
And Michael Chick is driving the trailer, the tractor trailer.
Yeah. See that.
Yeah, I'll
It's
Oh,
it's hard. Like nobody. I couldn't.
Shut
I
up,
couldn't tell
Aaron.
you.
What
I'm
the
sorry.
hell? Now I'm like,
And now that actually makes
I
me
just
disappointed.
watched it too.
It disappoints me about the show because it didn't have the stickiness to it. I could tell you why Walter White had to die.
Wait, I've never seen it, so shut up.
Oh, okay. Same concept. You can't be the star of the show and not die, and do bad shit and not die.
Got it.
Like, that's why I think Easy Reyes is gonna die.
Oh, you think so? You
He's
think
gotta die. He's gotta
he's like
die.
the Jax Taylor?
I hope he's not the Jax Teller of the story. Like, but if they kill him, if they kill him and then like at the end of the season they're like, oh, we got season 4 coming,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be super intrigued.
Right.
I'd be super intrigued.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah, because like he kicked off the first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So after we recorded last week and we had our Mayans discussion like off air.
Yeah.
And I was saying how much I couldn't stand his girlfriend. So at the end of this episode, I was like, oh no.
She's gonna die.
Like, she's
Yeah,
going to die.
Sorry, just to circle back to this. So yeah, so it was the other charters wanted him dead because he obviously based on a number of actions, including killing a member of another charter. So I do remember that. I did remember that he did kill somebody from another charter.
You know what's funny though? So if that's the case, then why?
When it came out, he killed Jury. That's what it was. He killed Jury and Cold Blood.
Right. That's right. And then his wife dies.
Yo, his wife died.
And
a horrible death.
then they find out that it was, and then Gemma and Juice are on the run.
Yes.
From that.
Right.
And that's one of the great scenes talk about great acting. The scene when Jimmy Smits gets the phone call.
Yeah.
And you don't hear the call, but you know what the call is about.
And he's standing by his car.
It's not the call, but it's the call, not the call that Gemma, it was the call that he gets when he finds out that Gemma was the one that killed Tara.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And he has like a meltdown, and you know what the conversation is all about. Like that was just fantastic.
That's a good show.
Yeah. But so far, Mayans, I overall I like the acting top to bottom.
Yeah, acting is great.
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, I dig it. I even like this whole like Paulo side story. You know, crazy dude lurking in the shadows, like leaving bodies on like it's a full out war. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have SOA going back after the mine. Like this is what I think. I'm like they're gonna set it up that way, or they're gonna pin it on somebody else. Like there's a reason why that body is sitting in salt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? like just holding it. They didn't just ditch it somewhere. Like that body's gonna pop up somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
So let me ask you, because one thing I'm still trying to figure out, and maybe I missed in the first episode of the season, but the last season ended up with like that party, right? Where they went in, and then it ends up with, it looks like a member of SOA got killed.
Yes, they did.
He did.
They did. Who was that?
The dude's cousin.
Yeah, it was because they mention it. So we never see it. They left the body in the desert, but when what's his name gets killed, they mention that
When
it was
Montez
his
gets
cousin.
killed?
Yeah, they mentioned that it was his. They say
His
like, oh, the
cousin.
guy's cousin. They make like just a quick reference to.
Yeah,
it.
but
Okay, I think I
they were
missed it.
running. They were running something behind the back, behind their back.
Right.
Okay.
Underneath Chib's nose.
Right.
Okay.
He was working for multiple because he goes, do they know that you're working for multiple
Yeah.
groups or gangs or whatever? they say.
Right.
Oh,
Okay. So then that made his death irrelevant because he
Yeah,
was
I mean,
just a cousin.
It turns out that unfortunately, and
Because
this is-
I thought like that was gonna spark something with
It may.
the son.
So,
it may, because it hasn't been forgotten about. But the thing is, they don't know because they mention it in the episode where Happy and Montez show up.
they show up. Yeah.
That they don't know yet about that. Because they
Mm,
say, do you think is it because of that body that's laying in the desert? And he's like,
Yeah.
Happy doesn't know like what's going on or his head from his ass or something like that. They
Yeah.
said. They're like, he probably doesn't even know that
They
happened.
were like, but Montez is a slippery dude. He wouldn't be here unless he knew something was up.
Right.
His cousin.
Right.
uh-huh.
She did, but not for the reasons that we
Right.
thought. Yeah. But
Okay.
it turns out that's why, because I assumed that starting with this first episode, that would be one of the main things that they address was who that
Same.
was, because it was the big cliffhanger. And it turns out that they didn't, because it really was, I don't want to say irrelevant, because it's certainly not irrelevant, but who it wasn't relevant
Right.
to the story. It was just really just a plot device.
They just put it on a hook.
Exactly.
We're gonna save that one for later. We're gonna
But
show
there
about what the fallout is.
Yeah. There seemingly is going to be a war
Yeah.
between the Suns and the Mayans, regardless, but not for the reasons that we would have thought.
Yeah.
And it's because they're all being played, as it turns out, both Suns and the Mayan. Maybe this is how they get out of that. They're
Yeah.
both being played by people both within the organization. And so I think ultimately what happens is, you could always get out of that by saying, well, look, the Montez family or whatever the cousin's name was, whatever, they were screwing you guys. They were all so, and that's kind of how that gets all kind of resolved. But
Yeah. I feel like what's
but
gonna end up happening is they're gonna take that body, they're gonna drop it in a different Mayan camp.
yeah,
Montez's body is gonna, because right now it looks like the other Mayans are out to kill. I mean, that's pretty much who went after, right? That is who went after Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other Mayans crew.
Yeah.
So they're gonna use that body. This is me all speculating because it was Mephisto all along.
right.
They're gonna dump that body, and then they're gonna send the Sons after that other charter, the one that originally came from what's his name, the Godfather. What's his face? The one that always had the beef with the SOA. What's his name, man? The dude
I
that's
don't
from
know.
Galindo.
Alvarez?
Alvarez.
Of the Mayans.
Yeah, that's that. It's gonna be his squad.
Yeah.
They're gonna dump that body.
Ugh,
Wow.
I love Alvarez so much.
Alvarez is a chump though.
I
He was a badass mother. Now he's
I
a
know,
chump.
but I
he's
like
playing. He's
him.
playing a different game. Now he's playing a
like
different
him.
game. I like it.
And I wish I saw more of the other guy too, because I like him too.
Oh, you think he's handsome, huh, Mr. Brady?
is
Yeah, you like
handsome.
him. You
Yeah.
like Pippi Longstocking.
I
Yeah.
like I like
Oh,
Pippi
that-
Longstocking.
That dude lost weight. He looks slim and
did.
trim.
No, he looks good. He looks good. I
I
like
bet he
him.
looks. Man over here licking her chops.
I
I-
like his character.
Sure, cup
I
it.
hope that Easy doesn't die, because I feel like that would be too convenient.
I
I'm not
hope he
thinking-
dies. I
maybe
don't care
by
much
the end
about
of the
him.
show.
About
Because
Easy?
they're-
Really? You don't like Easy? What?
No, he's my least favorite character
Yeah.
Mm.
in the show. Just like Jax Taylor was my least favorite character in Sons.
Well, see, Jax had a horrible American
I could
accent.
see that because Jax Teller was not at all my favorite character on that show. Not even
No,
close.
no.
And
I
he was
mean,
the most interesting character. in a lot of ways because he
I've
had like he really had like the least amount of depth like as a character, right? Of a lot of these, like there was some really fascinating
Oh, Jax?
characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jax was really just your typical like, okay, like he's conflicted, like
Mm.
he
yeah.
didn't have any like
He's your Hamlet.
well, yeah, that's the whole Shakespeare thing, yeah, but like he doesn't have like at least Easy has like he's been to jail, like he was a guy who had it, he was like he had a good life
Yeah.
ahead of him, and then he pissed it all away, but for legitimate reasons,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And
Unfortunately,
it
and
changed
then
him.
changed him, and now here he is doing a thing he didn't think. So even his motivations, I mean, Jax Teller's motivations were that his father started
Yeah.
the club.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, and he
Yeah.
tried to set out to do better, to fulfill his father's dream or whatever, or vision. Easy has an actual there actually is a tragedy to his story in
Right.
that sense.
Mhm.
Jax Teller's tragedy was almost manufactured. It wasn't it's like, all right,
He
whatever.
didn't really have
No,
a tragedy
no,
until
but he
Tara dies.
totally right. And that was all his and a lot of the stuff that happens in those last couple of seasons is all his fault.
Yeah.
He makes the wrong decision over and over and over again.
Mhm,
He puts a lot of people in danger. So by the time he's gone, like it's really hard to feel sorry for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, he had to die.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I was saying. I was like, I couldn't tell you why he died, just I knew he had to die.
Right.
You don't make it out of that season without him.
But I mean, out of everyone, I would say Easy's probably him and his girlfriend are like my least
Oh, you
favorite
just
characters.
you're hating on the young love.
Yeah, I guess I am. Maybe I'm just like needing a little loving, so I'm jealous.
Aw, Alex, I hope you're listening.
Well,
I haven't seen him for 4 months, so it's
Tito, she's longing, man.
struggle over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's why I see their like love scenes and I'm like, oh my god, give me a break. I don't want to watch.
Well, there
this.
you mean a lack thereof when he's like about to get down and he's thinking about stabbing somebody. He's about to stab and then he's thinking about stabbing somebody else.
We've already seen enough instances this season on this show of people about to get down,
about to get it on,
being like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah,
He's
except for Coco. Coco's getting a little.
He's such a prude too. Like, come on.
Because
let's hurry up.
So we got that. So you know what they really need? They probably need Chris Terrio.
No, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it, and then watch the final match of WrestleMania.
Chris Terrio did an interview with Variety, right?
Yep.
And he goes on a whole bunch. I'm not going to get into because to me they were really only actually it was pretty interesting. Just if you're into like the whole idea of like filmmaking and how the studio did interfere and all that stuff. But for me, the two things that I took out of it, which are things that I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about, and maybe they have, I just kind of started to tune out after like half a day of reading stuff on social media. I couldn't take it anymore. But like when we talk about like the dysfunction at Warner Brothers, right? And how they handled this universe, there's two things in here that he talks about that I thought were the most fascinating pieces in this interview. One is he talks about how the script for Wonder Woman wasn't completed when he was writing Justice League. Right? So he had to try to like figure out like what Wonder Woman would be. And also he's like Aquaman, like that was an idea at that point. So like he's like, I don't know, like can people talk underwater? Like can they like so he had to like figure out all that stuff, which tells you that like they did not have this stuff figured out.
No.
Right. And there was no long-term vision. And it's like, so you're trying to create a shared universe. And I guess this ties into what we were talking about on the last episode or maybe it was 2 episodes ago, whenever it was, we were talking about, somebody being the Feige, right? The person who sees all this. This is why, if you are going to do a shared universe, this is why you have to have somebody in that role, because you can't have a writer for one film trying to figure out what these characters are going to be, and then a writer for the next film doing that, because that's what we got like with Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
right. There were inconsistencies.
Sure.
There were inconsistencies with Aquaman, and like you can't. It's not a shared universe just because you have the same actors and you have the same characters. There has to be a continuity to it all.
None of these folks were comic book readers, which makes sense why they would put Jeff Johns in the position they did after BVS and all of that stuff, and move him, sort of like because he was a creator of some of these characters. He's written for many of those characters. So he has the institutional knowledge to guide that ship. So yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. And it also makes sense. I hate to bring it up, but it also ties into the Ray Fisher stuff for why Jeff Johns was making certain calls or sort of asking of certain things related to the direction of the reshoots and some of the script changes and all of that, because it was sort of tying those things together.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some of the stuff Terrio gets into is like, it's like, all right, dude, like you were working on a huge, like he's talking about like how they wanted to cut 30 minutes out and this and that. And like, he's very obviously protective of his vision, but it's like, it's almost like, dude, you're not making an art house film. Like I get it. Like,
this isn't Argo.
He's coming from it from that perspective.
Yeah.
And like, this is a major IP, right? These are major properties. And yes, the studio is going, he's like, oh, he's like talking about like he didn't want studio notes. And well, you're going to get that on a film like this. They're spending a lot of money on it. So that stuff I don't really feel sorry for him on. But like, it is tough when you do ask somebody to try to figure things out on the fly that are supposed to be part of a connected shared universe. Like it's almost like you're in a no-win situation at that point. And I mean, the other thing he mentions is that he was told to lighten the tone for Justice League, which he did, which is the version that we see now on HBO Max, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So obviously some of those studio notes weren't all bad.
No.
Because Zack Snyder's Justice League is, to me anyway, was a much better improvement over BVS. Tone and everything.
Yep.
So that balance was helpful. It was necessary to balance out the light and the dark, and so sometimes there is some merit to all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think BVS is it's like a different, it's a different breed of DC film. It doesn't, look, Zack Snyder's Justice League fits nicely with BVS in that there's a little bit more continuity, but they are very disparate films too because of tonality, right? And like Wonder Woman technically still fits in BVS, but her film was very different.
Yeah.
Tonally, it was different. It's a different.
You can write that up because of the time.
The time difference.
Period piece. Yeah, you can write off both Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84, or not write it off, but you can explain away.
Well, I'd write off Wonder Woman 84.
You can explain away the differences in tone because you can say, well, they came first and she evolved.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, it was
all just a bad recipe.
Yeah, I would seriously love a documentary of the whole.
Yeah, like it's just like whatever decisions, like it's just things just didn't come together. And you just saw the cookie just kind of like that, like the cake just kind of fail,
Yeah, no, you get a cookie and you're like, that's still kind of not cooked in the middle.
Yeah, and it isn't like one particular thing. It was just like all of these pieces just didn't work. And that's what makes it so sad. And that spawned a movement.
Yeah. I mean, even still, like if we look to the future.
Yeah.
And I've said this for so many years, I don't have confidence in the direction of the studio with their property of all of these DC characters. I don't have faith in them.
Yeah.
It's not until I see like one of those movies where I'm like, okay, like that one movie was like decent. That was okay. That's pretty good. Yeah. But then I'll watch the next one and I'm like, that's a total shit show. Yeah. Like that just totally like it turned me off. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Wonder Woman was, if there was no Wonder Woman, I would be like the whole thing.
She's right? She's the top.
She was that is the best film
right now
that they've made. Period.
Yeah.
May not have made $1 billion like Aquaman did, but Wonder Woman from start to finish is a great film. It's got a little soft spots, but it's still a great film.
Yeah.
Birds of Prey, that's a shit film. That is a shit film.
Right.
Shazam, you know how I feel about Shazam. Nope. Aquaman gets a pass. I think Aquaman's okay. It has its bright spots, but there's a lot of shit wrong with that movie.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Wonder Woman 84. What the hell?
Well, but
what happened with
more
that?
importantly, I think like when you hear though, like somebody like Terrio who was in there during this time when things were in such turmoil, right? And the studio was kind of losing their mind.
Yeah.
Like you can just see when they were announcing their slate, they were literally just announcing titles.
They were just throwing shit against the wall.
They had no plans, right? They had no concept because he mentions here, like, you know, the Wonder Woman solo film hadn't happened yet. He's like, so, you know, I couldn't do scenes with like Aquaman and the Atlanteans because I didn't know what to do with the scenes and where they wanted to go with it. He's like, you know, Justice League needed to establish 3 of the characters. It had to create a long game mythology for the DC universe. It had to resurrect Superman because he was dead at the end of the previous film. And he's like, they wanted me to do this all in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like even 4 hours. It's like the fact that they rushed that whole process along. But again, it also speaks to this idea that like, I don't really want to hear that anybody had a vision for this.
Right.
Zack Snyder, the studio, or anybody, this 5-story arc, nobody had an arc. There was no arcs. There was nothing. They were making this stuff up as they went along.
Right.
And that's why it was, and this, to me, this Terrio interview basically proves that, which you could have just watched those movies and known that at the time.
I mean, you've always said it. You were like, oh, after Man of Steel, there should have always been a follow-up to Man of Steel 2. Instead, they decided to go with Batman.
Right.
Because they were just throwing shit up against the wall.
He's like, Batman v Superman, don't do it. That wasn't my title.
Yeah, no, they stuffed that shit in there.
Yeah, he's like,
it's called show business, and I think they're missing the show part of it. They're really focused on the business part of it, and I think underestimating your audience and thinking like, oh, they're just gonna kind of digest whatever we give them because of whatever names we put in, or it's Batman or Superman, like that's enough for the audience. I really think that's where DC goes wrong sometimes, is underestimating the smartness of their fans and the audience. I think they just believe like, okay, like for example, Black Adam, right, just started filming. We don't know the direction that's going to be in. We don't know what the script looks like, but it's got The Rock, right? And I almost feel like to them, it's just like,
oh, we got the biggest name in Hollywood.
We got The Rock, right? We got the biggest name in Hollywood. This thing is going to be a success.
Yeah.
Without seeing how is the script, how is the story, you know? So I think that's where they need to revisit to really like come back. Even if the films are disjointed or not like Marvel, right? Like not like this like progression,
hyper connected,
like universe. Easter eggs in each like universe, even if they have different directors or whatever. But I think the executives and the higher ups, I think they're just businessmen.
Well, they are. Yeah.
With no passion or heart for storytelling.
No, and impatient. Warner Brothers has historically been impatient with their properties. Again, it's not the first time they did this. Let's remember what they did with, I mean, what I'll call, for lack of a better term, the Tim Burton Batman franchise.
Yeah.
Okay. He directs Batman '89. It's an enormous hit. It's a pop culture phenomenon. Then he directs Batman Returns his way, right? It's much more of a Tim Burton film. And the box office receipts aren't what they were hoping for. McDonald's complained because they couldn't sell Happy Meals right away. The studio freaks out because it was too dark. And now enter Joel Schumacher, Batman Forever, and then Batman and Robin takes it to just the next level. It's just all about it. It's a commercial to sell toys and Happy Meals at the expense of any type of cohesive movie. So they have a tendency to, and also they've had a lot less patience with Superman historically than they have with Batman, right? Because even with Batman and Robin, and it took them a while, but we got Batman Begins again with Christopher Nolan. And yes, so Superman Returns didn't do what they hoped it would because it's not a very good film. But I mean, it took forever. And then even when they finally do reboot Superman, they lost patience with the character after one movie, because right away, what should have been Man of Steel 2 became Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, right? And it's more almost as much of a Batman film in some ways as it is a Superman film, because it does tie into Man of Steel clearly, and it is a sequel to Man of Steel in theory, but it's not. It's like they read Dark Knight. And the other thing he mentioned, like you talk about with this, it's like they wanted to Batman and Superman to fight. Like Terrio mentions in the interview, like, I needed to come up with a reason for why these two people would fight.
Why Batman hates Superman.
So which is for him, like, I mean, it's like, because they rushed. They just wanted that Batman v Superman thing. They had one in development, with Wolfgang.
They wanted Avengers. Before. That's what they wanted.
Yes.
But they wanted to hyper
Batman and Superman didn't even need to fight to be in the same movie, right? You could have did a World's Finest type of thing, not that light, but you could have done that type of concept where there's an antagonistic relationship between the two of them because they're polar opposites. And that's what makes their relationship fascinating. They are completely different in every way, shape, or form, right? I mean, Bruce Wayne is a regular man with no superpowers. He's a recluse. He can't allow himself to love, right? And he's trying to avenge his parents' death, and he's dark, and it's all about just Superman comes here, right? He's an alien. He gets taken in, right, by a family, right, who treats him like their own. He has hope. He finds love, right? He's got superpowers. He's colorful. So they are complete opposites in every way. The way they handle things. He considers himself like a hero to the world, a protector of the world, whereas, so it's just and that's what makes their relationship fascinating. They didn't need to fight, but somebody handed somebody a copy of Dark Knight Returns and said, here, look, Superman and Batman fight. So let's do this. But that Superman in Dark Knight Returns was and
they're very different characters.
Very different characters. He was a pawn for the government, right? That was years and years and years of him already being the Superman that everybody knew, right? Loved. I mean, it was an older, but it was just a completely different concept, and it didn't need to be adapted that way, and they didn't need to treat Superman that way. So anyway, not to revisit all that, but there were just some fascinating things that came up, I thought, throughout that shows you, where Warner Brothers is just out to lunch on a lot of this stuff. And they just need to, and I've been saying this now for 4 years, 5 years, they just need to make movies that stay true to the character.
Yeah.
Because can a dark comic book movie make money? Yes. Joker made over $1 billion.
Right.
That's dark and weird and disturbing. And that's an art house film, right? That made $1 billion. But that doesn't mean every character has to be that way. Right. So, and they don't have to be light either, right? So just because Marvel's had success with the lighter tone doesn't mean you have to go that route. Like, everything should make sense for the character, and then let them all come together, because you can still fit that all together. It's actually kind of fun, right? That's what makes the Justice League fun, is that they're all kind of different and they all play off of each other, and it's like a real relationship. There's some people that are annoying, some people that get along, and some people. So I think that's what they really need to be focused on going forward. But quickly, before we get out of here, just to address Ron Diesel's question. He says, what do we think is going to happen to Ray Fisher's movie career outside of the DC films? He thinks he's still going to find work, just not with big budget films for now.
I already addressed it on Twitter all day. So
I think he's going to find work.
Yes.
He'll probably end up in Michael B. Jordan's Creed film.
He'll definitely find work. I mean, look, to me, the one thing that you might find problematic with him is the fact that he called out Walter Hamada, right? And
not just Walter Hamada.
Well, no, I don't mean that, but I'm saying Walter Hamada, who literally, right?
Who sits at the throne, the top of the throne of the Iron Throne at Warner Brothers.
He wasn't involved in that stuff, right? So, like, that seemed like bitterness because he wasn't happy with the results of the investigation and all that stuff. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, like, Joss Whedon should never get work ever again.
No.
Right? There's no reason why Ray Fisher shouldn't find work again.
Right.
100%.
I mean, he's not the first actor to speak their mind on numerous subjects.
Right.
And So I don't see why that should hold anybody back. It doesn't even seem like while he was making the film, he was even really like, I mean, he wasn't doing anything other than being a young kind of green actor on the middle, thrown into this huge budget film, and maybe not having a full understanding of like how the process works or whatever,
Right.
or kind of thinking that he was going to have more of a voice in the process. But even that, the way he acted like on set and stuff doesn't really seem egregious or that it was wrong or that he's difficult to work
He
with.
didn't even
like
speak about it.
No.
For years.
Yeah. So I don't see any reason why he should. And he's a good actor, so I don't see why he shouldn't find work at all.
He'll get work. I'm sure there are other studios applauding him for,
of course,
behavior and a culture at Warner Brothers that they are all familiar with. So
they know. I mean, look how long it took to take down Harvey Weinstein.
Yep, Brett Ratner, a whole bunch of people.
Bunch of people.
Harvey Weinstein's getting taken down again.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
he just got indicted again.
Yeah. So
like recently, like
today.
Oh, seriously?
It's still sealed, the indictment from the group, but it's leaked out that the grand jury in Los Angeles is going to indict him on rape charges while he's serving 23 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's dead.
So, yeah.
And like, you know, in the beginning of all of that, I'm sure people were like, oh, well, you're never going to work again in the industry because you're speaking out. Like, of course, it's the machine, it's the cog, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll definitely find work again. I don't think he did anything wrong. You might not agree with the way he went about it or what his beliefs are, right? But like, at the end of the day, I think he had this great experience with Zack Snyder in the beginning. Zack Snyder was listening to him. His character had this huge story. He's a young actor. Maybe his ego got into his head a little bit, like, oh, like I'm going to be carrying like a lot of this story, right? A lot of this plot. And then Zack Snyder leaves. And then this new guy comes in who doesn't even want to listen to you, who cuts you out of his film, basically. I mean, you got to try and rationalize that and think, why is he doing that to me? Because I just came from this like fairy tale experience. And then this MF walks in and he tries to cut me out of like basically everything. And I'm trying to explain to him like, no, you know, I wouldn't say that, or, you know, Black people wouldn't do it that way, or whatever. Like, oh, why am I saying like whoop or something like that? Right.
Booyah.
And he's trying to kind of like look out for him. Like this might come back at you for, you know, being like distasteful or whatever. And it's just like nothing. Right. And I think Ray Fisher just wanted to be heard. And that's why I think at the end of the investigation, he says he was satisfied, even though he didn't like the outcome, because like he was actually being heard.
Yeah.
You know, like he just wanted to share his POV. And that's like in a nutshell, like what I tweeted about today. I think he'll find work. There's people that agree with him. There's people that have been silent. Like look at all of the other actors that came out and, you know, talked about their experience with Joss Whedon on set. If it wasn't for him, those other actors wouldn't have come out and said something, or they wouldn't have stood in solidarity with him. That hashtag wouldn't have trended, you know, like that Hollywood Reporter article, sure, didn't paint him in the best light because at the end they didn't find anything, you know, with what he was alleging, right? But you see that there are people in the industry and outside of the industry that are like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. It might not have been this movie or this moment that was successful, but I see where you're coming from and it's a problem. Yeah. He'll find work. I'm not worried about him.
And the sad thing for Ray Fisher and all this is reading between the Terrio interview and his interview, you know, reading those together, he was a victim of the major studio system more than anything else. Okay.
Yeah.
His other allegations on that stuff, that's its opinion, why some decisions were made and weren't made, right? You can go back and forth on that, and there's hearsay and all that stuff involved. But regardless of that, he there were legitimate reasons for why he should have been excited about that character, right? And what that
Mhm.
character could have been
Mm.
and what it could have meant. And again, the other stuff, forget about if for nothing else, the studio at the very least wound up saying, well, we're hitting the panic button. We only care about Superman, Batman, and now we care about Wonder Woman because her movie made money.
Right.
So that's what we're going to focus on. We're cutting everything else out because we don't really have faith in this. And I think that was really the biggest motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And either way, it's unfortunate for him that he had to be a part of that on his first major studio film where he felt like he was developing a historic character. And he could have been, and that got taken away. So sure, that's going to sting, especially when you see what it wound up being.
Mm-hmm.
And just reading like some of that stuff, it's like, it's got to be frustrating, right? I mean, here you go from you're the one of the main pieces of that story, right? And maybe you're even going to be getting your own solo film, or you're going to be in this Flash film and all that stuff, and now you're relegated to like a couple of moments. Your whole story gets cut, and they give you like the little catchphrase because one of the studio executives' daughter watched Teen Titans cartoon and they thought she would want to hear that. It's like, this is the kind of crap that would frustrate me if there's no other motivation behind any of those decisions. That alone is maddening. And I could certainly see where you would I don't think anybody from a creative perspective is going to take issue with him for having that belief and that feeling and that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So he'll work again.
He will definitely.
Look,
he's a good actor.
Yeah.
If he was like a mediocre actor, like not a good actor, or maybe someone that was in a previous profession, you know what I mean? Like maybe he was like good at, I don't know, singing, but then like got into acting, but wasn't that good. No, he actually is a really good actor. So I think he will find his spot and he will work in it. And maybe not in any like superhero universe. I could see him doing a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. And people seem to like it. Look, Zack Snyder likes him, loves him. I mean, even like Jason Momoa seems to like, so the cast, they all seem to like him. People like him. It's not like he's like this outcast.
Yeah.
Right? That people are like running the hell away from. Like, oh, we don't want any part of that guy. Again, one guy
do anything wrong.
beyond a shadow of a doubt should not work ever again is Joss Whedon.
Right.
I think that's the conversation you should be having, is whether that guy will ever work again, and the answer should be hopefully not, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Ray Fisher, he shouldn't.
He'll be okay. I think he'll be okay.
He's a powerful voice, so that there's value to that. There's value to that if treated right.
Mm-hmm.
So, hopefully people take advantage of that as well. All right, so I don't think there's anything else, right?
No,
we good.
So we can get out of here and go to thefanboygarage.com. You can check out our episodes. You can check out our merch and all of that fun stuff. Of course, if you'd like to watch us on beautiful video, you can see how we look like Star Trek. We're all matching. It's pretty cool.
I'm gonna post a picture
right now.
on Twitter.
So you can watch the video on our YouTube channel, the Fanboy Garage Podcast. You can like and subscribe there. Of course, the social medias. Join the conversation on the Facebook, the Twitter, and the Instagram at the Fanboy Garage. And you can find me on Twitter at RealCAlmighty.
All right. You guys can tweet me at Vanana_TFG. And you can find me on Instagram at my full name, Vanessa_Bontea, Bontea.
Awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at AARonSpeaks. That is A_A_Ron Speaks. Thank you so much again for listening to episode 139 of the Fanboy Garage. It is another week, and we are closing it out. Have a good one, guys.